February is American Heart Month. It's a time to raise awareness about heart disease, congenital heart defects, and overall heart health. And it's something that affects each and every one of us. The statistics from the American Heart Association are staggering. Heart disease is the leading cause of death in the United States. Data shows someone dies from cardiovascular issues every 34 seconds, and a stroke kills someone every 3 minutes and 14 seconds. Nearly half of Americans have high blood pressure, and a quarter deal with high cholesterol. But when it comes to the heart, 1 in 100 people are born with it. It's called congenital heart disease, or CHD, and there aren't always apparent symptoms or signs. Take Mia Schiniver, for example. She's 16 years old. She has her driver's license, and she looks like your typical teenager. But her story is unique, and as Kaylee Kirby reports, her family has a history.
I was first diagnosed. I was at cross-country practice, and I had a cardiac incident.
Mia remembers running, but she doesn't remember what happened next. Her mom, Sarah, will never forget.
I got a call and they said, "Has Mia ever had seizures?" I said, "No, never, no, never. I'll be right there." I expected her to be sitting there fine when I got there. She was laying on the ground, not fine, And it was 10 hours before she opened her eyes that night.
I just remember waking up and there was just new. It was new, and I didn't know what was going on.
Doctors would provide an answer. Mia has hypertrophic cardiomyopathy, or HCM. Her thickened heart caused her to collapse.
Mia, at a very young age, was 11 years old when she had her first incident, and it turned our world around. It really opened our eyes and realized how quickly something can change.
Mia's dad, Josh, says the changes kept coming. Doctors implanted a defibrillator and prescribed life-saving medications.
I went home from the hospital. I got better, or at least we thought we did. And then a couple years later, I had a couple more cardiac issues, both in gym.
With Mia having 5 different cardiac arrests, I think that really put into perspective how truly bad it was. And when the doctor said, we're not sure why she's even having these. There's something else going on.
Last year, I had my worst incidents so far, hopefully, out of all of them. And we started talking about other things besides changing medications that would help.
It was time for surgery. And like Mia's heart, it was complicated.
When we first started talking about this surgery, the doctor said to us in Boston, he's like, we've done this one other time. We don't know if the outcome's going to be the same or not. And, it's not like we've done this 100 times or not. And Mia said, well, there's no way to get to 100 if we don't start with 1. I'll be number 2.
Mia's bravery paid off. She needs fewer medications, but
we won't know if it worked until it doesn't work.
One day at a time. We don't know what a week or a month or a year is going to bring. So it really does come down to every day is a new challenge, and get through the day and hope for the best that day to go on to the next day.
Mia's dad sees his daughter's strength. He has a history with the same heart disease, and so did his mom.
I kind of skipped a generation. My mom had a very hard journey. I have been relatively stable.
Stable, like his son Grayson. He also has the hypertrophic cardiomyopathy gene, and his sister's back.
Probably 95% support her. The other 5% is pick on her. But yeah, I love her very much. She's my best friend. So, yeah.
And they are both we have so much to learn from them.
So take a moment and listen to the advice these young heart warriors have to offer.
Try and don't let it define you, and don't give up.
It's hard to just look at somebody and see what all they're going through. Just be nicer in positions when you know what secret things people are going through.
Kaylee Kirby, WTOL 11.
Mia's parents also talked about the importance of AEDs. They say they have 2 of their own and look for them anywhere they travel. In fact, CPR along with an AED helped save Mia when she suffered cardiac arrest in her school. As for Mia, she says she still isn't able to run because of her heart condition, and she really misses it, but hopes she'll be able to get back to it one day soon. We talked about heart disease being the leading cause of death in the U.S. When it comes to the survival rate for sudden cardiac arrest, it's just 10%. That's why one local woman is lucky to be alive. Tatiana Cash shows us how her coworkers' quick thinking saved her life.
It's December 2022. Jennifer Weddington and Anita Santis are working side by side.
It was just a normal day. It was December 28th, so right after Christmas. And so just in here like normal.
All of a sudden I just heard a noise that sounded like somebody was snoring. And I'm like, that's, doesn't sound normal. So I got up to investigate. But as soon as I stepped outside my office, I could tell it was coming from Jennifer's office.
Jennifer was in cardiac arrest.
I don't remember that day at all.
She was just kind of slumped over her desk and breathing really heavy and stuff. And so right away I went over to her and started shaking her on the shoulders like, Jennifer, are you okay? And she just was not responding at all.
Anita dialed 911 and then Jennifer lost consciousness. Her pulse and breathing stopped. So Anita sprang into action, starting chest compressions and praying for help to come.
When I heard those sirens coming, it was just the best sound I've ever heard because I was so scared in the moment. She wasn't breathing, and I didn't think she was going to make it. And so I was so relieved to see them get here.
First responders took Jennifer to the hospital, and after a few days in a medically induced coma, she says waking up was surreal and confusing.
Never had any health issues my whole life, really. So to me, waking up in a hospital bed with tons of people around me is kind of frightening, what's going on.
Jennifer's incident made immediate waves.
I have done my certification again to do CPR. Here at work, we've gotten AED machines because without that AED, Jennifer wouldn't have made it.
It was a wake-up call for me to slow down a little bit. I would say that I probably don't put things on hold as much as I would have in the past. Well, we can do that later. Well, you don't know if there will be a later.
Jennifer and her family nominated Anita for an American Heart Association Heart Saver Hero Award.
If I put myself in Jennifer's husband's shoes and I think about it from his standpoint, or I think about it from Jennifer's standpoint, that she gets to go home to her kids, I understand why they think that I'm a hero.
I'm just happy to be here with my family.
Tatiana Cash, WTOL 11.
For 1 in 100 newborns, a heart condition is just part of life. CHD means a lifetime of cardiac care, checkups, and appointments. Kaylee Kirby introduces us to a woman holding out hope while waiting for a new heart.
My name is Amanda Harper. I'm 42 years old, and I was born with hypoplastic right heart syndrome, ASD, VSD, tricuspid atresia, and LTGA.
If it sounds like a lot, it is. So let's take away the complicated medical language.
Basically, in simple terms, I was born with half of a heart.
Harper's parents didn't know. She came into the world like any other newborn. Then she got sick. Bronchitis at 2 months old may have saved her life.
I started turning blue and I was coughing, not getting, taking medication, trying to, get rid of the bronchitis, and I wasn't getting any better. I was getting worse.
Those symptoms led to more tests, and those tests found Harper's heart wasn't fully formed. It was in the wrong spot, and it wasn't working.
I've been told a lot that I'm a medical mystery.
Her medical team called in a helicopter and flew Harper to the Medical College of Ohio, now UTMC. Doctors used a shunt to increase blood flow to her lungs and realized she needed a significant surgery to save her life. But at just 2 months old,
I was too sick, and there would be just way too many complications if I had it that young.
It took nearly 4 years for Harper to get well enough. 4 decades later, she hasn't forgotten.
I remember my Fontan surgery. like it was yesterday. It was very rough. Had really hard time in the hospital. Operating room, really hard time. And then when I healed, came home and healed, I was really good.
Really good through preschool, through kindergarten, through middle school, and then
Towards the end of high school, I just started, feeling more tired.
she grew up and she got married and she talked about kids.
We've tried. It just that it's not worth putting the risk on my heart. For me personally, and I know also for my husband, I didn't want to take the chance of passing it on.
Now, 42 years old, Harper's heart is still in the wrong spot. It's enlarged. It presses against one of her lungs, and the repair holding it together is wearing out.
My heart, my fontan is breaking, and I'm in heart failure. I'm currently hoping and waiting to be approved for heart and liver transplant.
So, that means more tests and more doctors.
Single ventricle heart patients we're a little more complicated.
And more time spent wondering whether those complications mean she'll have to move to find the care she needs.
I was at one point very angry and frustrated that I just completely shut myself off from everybody.
But Harper has turned that isolation and frustration into something more.
They see me advocating for myself and see me advocating for others, and I try and keep that as a big positive for me, that I'm going to be helping them out.
Harper was just the second baby ever to have this particular surgery at the Medical College of Ohio, and she's one of the few heart warriors with no revisions or surgeries after that initial procedure. Every heart warrior's journey is different. For some, it starts before birth. Others find out later in life. Melissa Andrews introduces us to a young boy and his parents who got the news when he was just 3 months old.
What's your name?
Tell me your name.
Hayru Horton.
He may be shy in front of the camera, but at just 4 years old,
He does everything his older siblings do. He think he one of the big kids.
Mom Terica Wallace can smile and laugh now, but it's been a journey to get here.
I cried when I was having a boy, I ain't gonna lie. I wanted a girl so bad.
It's your turn.
We didn't know about the heart conditioning when I was pregnant.
Hayru seemed healthy. Then came April 2020. COVID was spreading, and Hayru's parents thought their baby boy had it.
His cry completely changed. I didn't know what was going on with the cry. It was weak.
It was that which led Hayru to the doctor, then to the ER, then to Nationwide Children's Hospital in Columbus.
A big shock. Didn't expect it.
Hayru's dad, Gerard Horton, was at work when Mom got the news.
Pack a bag and hope for the best.
All the while, the hospital was battling the COVID pandemic. That meant Dad couldn't come in with his family.
Trusting God, trusting the doctors and surgeons.
It was just like that. We got to Columbus, they did blood work, they audited everything they needed to do. The next day, we was in surgery.
Oh my goodness.
Hayru was just 3 months old. He would have 2 more life-saving procedures before his second birthday.
Just gonna take a quick listen, okay?
Pediatric cardiologist Jeffrey Moore is Hayru's heart doctor.
Hayru presented really sick at a really young age, which is not uncommon with his type of heart disease.
He spotted the signs, explaining the young boy was born with what's called anomalous left coronary artery from the pulmonary artery, or L-kappa, during that first ER visit.
And so what was happening is that blood was being stolen from his heart, causing him to have a number of heart attacks, actually, when he was really young. So when he presented to us, he was very sick and he was in heart failure, and that ultimately ended up destroying one of his valves called the mitral valve.
In all, Hayru has had 4 surgeries, and he's not done yet.
It gets easier, but it's still like, wow. gotta go for another surgery, and so it's an ongoing process until he's fully developed, his heart fully develops. You have to get a couple more, so.
Lord.
But despite it all,
For a guy who's had multiple open heart surgeries, I mean, he runs around, he bounces around in here. If you didn't, see his big scar, a lot of people wouldn't know all the, stuff that he's gone through in his first few years of life.
Heiru does live with restrictions. He has to eat a special diet. Mom says he loves vegetables, yet can't have leafy greens. And he's into sports, but
He loved basketball and football. That's what's gonna crush him when he find out that he's not gonna be able to play any sports.
despite it all, Heiru is strong. He's growing, and he has parents and a brother and sister to support him.
It's tough getting that news and watching the kid go through surgery, but always got to be strong, stick together, and just keep your faith.
And yes, there are doctors and surgeons and family. But Mom and Dad know.
They don't have the last say, so actually they do, and you know who else. So I will say, just keep your faith. He's a miracle because they didn't expect him to be here. Like 3 days after surgery, they said, they told me, we didn't think he was gonna make it out. And here he is.
CHD is complicated. Surgery helps, but heart warriors are never truly cured. And even when things look good, Megan Hartnett shows us there's always a chance for an unexpected setback.
Good job, baby! Yay!
He's loud, he's silly. Oh, he's really silly.
You.
He loves cars and trucks. We're all about Mickey. He loves to be outside.
Dean David sounds like any other 4-year-old, except he's been through a lot more than most. Dean was Crystal Zare's miracle baby. She lost her daughter during delivery and thought she was never going to have another. That was until she met Norman. Enter Dean in 2020. Joy turned to concern when Zare learned something was wrong while pregnant. Dean was born with right hyperplastic heart syndrome and tricuspid and pulmonary atresia, which essentially means he has half a heart. At 3 days old, he had open heart surgery and went home after a month and a half.
We had gone in and they called us, and I could tell when the doctor called me, I was in the grocery store, and I could tell that something was wrong because of the way her voice sounded. I mean, how could you not be upset even if you're the professional, because you're telling somebody something so heavy, you know? And I didn't know what to think. His numbers were through the roof. He was in massive heart failure.
Dean was put on different medicines, on oxygen, and then a heart transplant.
At first I really was like, oh yeah, you guys are gonna get him a heart, you know, it doesn't really seem real. It seems like kind of like a fairy tale.
At 7 months, Dean got that new heart.
How amazing is it? And somebody gave their child's heart so that my child could have a life, and now we have almost 3 years since transplant of memories.
Hi, baby. How you feeling, huh? Say hi, everybody. I'm gonna go back to sleep.
Zare says these past 3 years haven't been easy. There's been lots of doctors, checkups, and EKGs. Dean had his 3-year heart catheterization, which is like a biopsy to see how the heart is doing in October. The team said everything looked great then, because it did. But then she got a call.
We found out at the beginning of November that he was in rejection, which was even harder, I think, than him having to be transplant listed, because there was hope. He was gonna get a healthy heart. He was gonna, there's hope. With rejection, it's like, what is this? What is happening?
Zare said on the call, even the transplant team was shocked. She had to bring Dean to the hospital as quickly as possible.
I was packing and thinking, is he gonna go back to school? Is he gonna get to have a birthday? Is he gonna be home?
Since then, he has been in and out of the hospital every 2 weeks doing rejection medicine therapy.
But there's good news with it too, because They caught Dean's rejection super early, and they have found through lots of testing and stuff over the last few months that they haven't found any damage to the heart.
Zaire says doctors are hopeful they can keep Dean out of rejection.
Happy birthday to you.
Dean just celebrated his 4th birthday at home.
He's gonna be amazing. He's gonna do something. I feel like he's gonna do something that's gonna touch this world. And maybe that's sharing his story. I'm not sure yet. Maybe that's something small. Maybe he doesn't want to do something big, and I'm okay with that. But I know he's going to touch lives for sure.
For heart patients, it's often about a lifetime of care, but there are success stories. Kaylee Kirby introduces us to a mother and her son who now only needs to see the cardiologist once every 3 years.
Our story first began 8 years ago with my son being first diagnosed as a heart baby, spending 36 days in the NICU.
Before that, Amanda Hoover couldn't wait to meet her first child, and Bryson didn't wait to meet her.
He came 6 weeks early. Very easy natural labor, and then once he got here, they couldn't get his oxygen sats up to where it needed to be. So they hand pumped oxygen into his face until the transfer team could come get him.
After that, Hoover says life was a whirlwind. Weeks in the neonatal intensive care unit, doctors coming and going, answers in short supply.
We found out 2 weeks after Bryson was born, and he was a complete enigma in the NICU. The heart doctors, the lung doctors, neither one of them agreed that it was their area. Come to find out, his diagnosis was kind of in between, but it is a congenital heart defect.
The diagnosis, TAPVR. There was a problem with the veins between Bryson's heart and lungs.
We were just devastated.
Surgery started, and the waiting began. The surgeon came to talk.
He kind of came out from the door and was like, shook his head, and we're not done yet.
Bryson needed another procedure. More time in the operating room, more waiting for Mom.
You take away the worry for those children. I know he didn't have anything to worry about, but we did, so he just had to get better.
In the end,
my son was fully repaired, so there was nothing that I could have. Yeah.
Come here, baby. Fully repaired. Now, 8 years later, you'd never know. Bryson and his mom meet each year with other heart families in Williams County. His journey and others commemorated.
I hereby proclaim the week of February 7th through 14th of 2024 as Congenital Heart Defect Awareness Week in Williams County, Ohio.
But the story doesn't end there. Bryson and his family are giving back.
Thank you very much.
Delivering blankets to Parkview Bryan Hospital, making sure families know.
There's definitely support out there. Every 1 out of 100 babies are born with it.
1 out of 100 kids born with a congenital heart defect. Parents heartbroken to hear the news. And while the blankets and the proclamations and the photos bring support and awareness,
The more awareness that brings about, maybe more people will listen, more funding will come, more advancements, and eventually, hopefully, not an 18-year-old will just find out about their heart issue.
Thank you for joining us as WTOL 11 celebrates American Heart Month. We hope you enjoyed the stories these families allowed us to share. The message many have, keep your faith, advocate for your heart warrior, and know you are not alone. For WTOL 11, I'm Amanda Fay.